Get stuck in the Aussie footy.
All right, let's go. Rugby league. Canberra Raiders, boys, they did a classic fade, losing Thursday night to the North Queensland Cowboys. Had a 12-0 lead at half-time. We mentioned it in the group chat. Do we see the faders of old? A few of the boys got on the live bet, paying $10 North Queensland at the half. And lo and behold, the Raiders have done a fade. Ricky's old halftime speeches of last year.
Dividends.
Yeah, came back. Jason Taumalolo, excellent for the Cowboys. I think we're starting to see shades of the old JT that was by far and away the best forward in the comp. He ran for 255 metres, if you don't mind, 29 tackles, 5 tackle busts. You got your wish. We saw a bit of Xavier Savage. Only 14 minutes. I don't know how much impact you can have in 14 minutes. He did run for 68 metres in that 14 minutes, which is pretty impressive. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, he came on as a replacement fullback. So that was the plan there. So he came in for Jans in the end. So probably not a great move, but he came on as a utility. Probably not, he's not a design hooker. So I don't know what they're going to do going forward there. I think I've been saying it the last couple of weeks. I'm unsure what Canberra are missing. I think I worked it out. They lack discipline. They lack leadership. So,
and Ricky went ham in the press conference on his own players, which is
he gave Savage a spray,
which is quite unusual because Ricky in the past we've seen him be very disgruntled with the media usually, and not being very happy with the questions that he's been asked, and usually having his players. Being in their corner, if you will, backing them into the ring. Whereas this was really, he was quite firm in saying that there was no excuses for that kind of play in the second half, and it'll be interesting to see how the playing group responds.
Yeah, well, and following on that, so. Because it is discipline. They turned the ball over so much. It was just a drop fest in the second half. They couldn't hold on to it. So, which
has been their problem. That was their problem in that first loss to the Cowboys. It's been their problem in the Manly game.
Yes. But Peps. But what is discipline? What's it a reflection of?
Leadership.
Coaching. Same thing.
Attitude reflect leadership.
Yeah.
Coach, which is a kind of abrupt kind of version of the great quote from Denzel Frothinton in Remember the Titans.
Yes.
Yeah, yes and no. I don't think the coaching has to do with much drop ball out there. There seems to be it's just a problem of them holding on to the footy, isn't it?
Well, I think the drop ball comes from their lack of discipline, which I think is a coaching aspect. So there's a lot of talk about Ricky's head. If they can't get results, they need results. They've given up the most double-digit leads. They gave up 7 in the last, I think 18 months was the stat. The next closest was 4. So they definitely have
tag.
That's where they get the faders tag. A lot of that now is all looking back on Ricky. Of course, I do think they lack leadership, which either comes from him or I think they do need a quality veteran half in the run that squad around.
You reckon it improves when Fogarty comes back? We're still 6 weeks off that.
If that, he's week 14, so that's
week 6. Call it 8 weeks.
Yeah, and the season's done by that point if they don't win games between now and then.
True. So. The thing is, Schneider's been quite good.
Well, I think he's good, but he's not the leader. They need that leader that's going to pick them up when they do those errors and then it not snowball, which is a problem. They get into a rut and it just snowballs and they just keep losing. So it is what it is.
It is what it is.
They had a good first half. They were very clinical in that, and then obviously they started tooting their own horn, and the Ricky halftime speech didn't go too well. And
Bunks, you got the stats there. What was that completion rate in the end? It's pretty abysmal again.
It was. So completion rate for Raiders was 72, 75 for Cowboys.
27 of 37. I'd be interested to see how much of that was in the second half.
Yeah.
Not that you'll be able to bring that up.
No, I haven't got the second half. The splits there. Negative plays. So Raiders had 12 to Cowboys 10. Cowboys conceded 9 penalties to Raiders 6.
Then 12 errors. If you're making an error, what's that? Every 6 minutes, quick maths. It's pretty hard to win football games.
Yeah. I mean, the 12 to 10 kind of is reflective of the score there. So Cowboys probably didn't play their best game either. It's not great for the Raiders when you look at it.
Yeah, it was some of those numbers. Very much the tale of two halves. Anyway.
What are the Cows now? They're 3-3. Started better than anyone kind of expected.
I think Deedon got injured in this.
Oh, chase that up while we talk about the next one. Yeah.
We were bagging him as a 5'8" going into it. Like, he's probably a little undersized to do that, but his running game's been really good. So
Dearden's been good. Scott Drinkwater's been good, playing one in the last 2 games.
Valentine's kind of bounced back in the centres.
Yeah, he had that good
big game in this one.
Yeah, that big try to get the go ahead for the Cowboys, where he showed that speed and that power, that finishing ability, dragging a few of the Raiders over the line for that try. Maybe the Cows aren't as bad as everyone was thinking at the start of the year. Yeah. Still early days, you start 3-3, you could finish, 3-20, 21 or something. But I think credit where credit's due. The Cows looking a little bit better than most people had expected.
Yep.
South Bulldogs on Good Friday there, the first of 2 Good Friday games. We spoke ad nauseum last week about the sin bins and how they are affecting the game. This was a different one. This was for consecutive penalties given away. You could hear the referee saying, next one someone's going to go. So they were given the warning. Yep. Jeremy Marshall-King given the marching orders. I think there was 3 consecutive penalties, set after set after set. And then we saw South being able to capitalise, get a two tries in that 10 minutes and never really look like losing the game after that. Damian Cook, unreal, hat-trick, showing off his elite speed, looking like that Damian Cook of a few years ago where he was hands down the best number 9 in the country. Now, obviously, a lot of people like to sort of think Harry Grant might...
Happy Coruscant
is in
there as well. So
I think Cookie, when he's allowed to play that free-flowing game where he scoots and just, causes an absolute ruckus through the middle. Last week in the Dragons game, obviously I was watching that intently. He carved us up through the middle. I'd be interested to see, is he able to do this against your Melbournes and your Penriths? Because it's the Dogs and the Dragons the last 2 weeks that they've played, and he has been the best player on the field in both games.
It helps a lot when your pack is getting the meters, getting over the advantage line. So then it frees you up for your running game. If they're getting belted into the ground and wrestled out of it, then the classic Melbourne techniques, then he can't play his kind of natural game, unfortunately. But did Latrell do his hammy in this game?
No, the game before. So it was in the Dragons game, and it's the hamstring that he had surgically repaired. The tendon,
8 weeks, I think, is what
tendon had come off the bone before the surgery. That's not the case with this tear, although it is an injury to that hamstring tendon. So Latrell will miss about 8 weeks. It kind of opens up the door for the second centre. In the State of Origin, which we will discuss shortly.
Yep.
Cookie, I did see one lucky punter, I think, put a 20 on a Cookie hat trick. I don't know what he was thinking of that. Maybe one of his mates, just saying, "Oh, fuck it, get on the hooker to score a hat trick." He normally pays about 6 or 7 to 1 just to score one.
Yeah.
So hat trick would have been playing very nicely there. So congratulations to that punter there. South get West Tigers next week. You'd imagine they continue their winning ways. And Dogs and Broncos, an important game for those two sides who will be trying to stay ahead of the West Tigers in the race for the spoon. Friday night, Penrith put on a bit of a clinic against the Broncos. They're 6-0. Payne Haas missed this one for his suspension regarding the "you stepped on my shoes, bro" with Albert Kelly. We saw Nathan Cleary back to his best. I think his 3rd game for the season. Sort of eased into it in the 2 games before this one. He was elite, Nathan Cleary. In this one, 122 run meters, 4 try assists, and one of the best kicking games in the league, if not the best. Some good chat amongst the fantasy players who often Nathan Cleary will be the captain of a fantasy team, given his week in, week out consistency. In his absence this year, Payne Haas has been the captain, and I saw someone come up with the nice, "I can see Cleary now, Payne Haas has gone." I saw a little bit of that kind of yarn getting around, and I thought that was that was well done. Also, that was my chat, so that's probably why I thought it was pretty good, because it came out of my own mouth, or out of my own fingers, if you will, onto the keyboard. That makes it 20 in a row for Penrith at home.
Yep.
They're looking like they're going to go on an absolute run. Again, it's a little bit like last year in that we're thinking Penrith, we're thinking Melbourne, we're thinking Smokies in your Parramatters, in your Cronulla. But outside of about 6 sides, it's probably, it's probably unlikely that anyone else is going to do any damage. I did mention the centre spot for the Blues. In game 1 will definitely be up for grabs. Katoni Staggs had himself a night in a losing side here. He had 120 run meters, 8 tackle busts, put on a few big shots on his opposing number, and a meat pie as well. A little multi-win for me. Thanks for sports bet. I want to talk about that centre position for Origin. I would have Staggs as the number 1 candidate to take that spot in the absence of Latrell. The other options, we've got Stephen Crichton, who's a really good shout. I think the best thing that Crichton has going for him is that it'll most likely be with Luai, Cleary, and Yo. So he will have that existing chemistry.
Toto might be playing outside him. So
it's outside him. We could go 5 out of 7 Penrith players. And if you want to go on form, it's probably not a bad idea.
Yes.
We might just put Penrith in there to play as the same side and see how they go. Campbell Graham is another big shout. It was a little bit quiet in the South Dogs game, but he was in the squad last year. He was 19th man, and Freddie loves him. He's a big-bodied centre. He's sort of purpose-made for Origin, whereas Crichton's a touch smaller, a little bit more silky and speedy. But Campbell Graham's a big fella. And Zach Lomax, the Dragons man, who has had a little bit of a down year, I think.
He's too much banter yesterday as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second. A little bit too much. He's starting to get a little bit of a villain tag, I think. I think there's going to be a fair few people that love to hate on Zach Lomax. That's probably the 4 that have their name in the ring at the moment for that centre spot with Latrell being out. Personally, I think Staggs is the number 1 option. Any thoughts around it?
Well, you've made a huge mistake. They're all centres. You've got to pick fullbacks.
Yeah, I have to pick a fullback. Pappenhausen, welcome to the centres.
With Latrell and Turbo, they have the big bodies. Turbo, I think, is dealing with a bit of a knee injury as well. So
he's not playing, but he should be back.
He should be back for Origin. But, of course, he's had leg injuries in the past. So you hope for the best in his recovery. Same with Latrell. But, yeah, big-bodied centres. It wouldn't surprise me if Jack Whiten gets a run in the centres. He's in there in the squad.
Yep.
If you had to pick your number 1 specialist New South Wales centre, who would that be?
Specialist, as in a guy that plays centre week in, week out.
I think Staggs and Crichton are probably the 2.
Yep.
Staggs had a quiet first month of footy, and he's played his best games in the games Brisbane have lost. So that's a bit interesting, but. He's definitely one of the most talented centres there, from an athletic point of view. So, yeah, he could definitely be in there. I think it'd be probably between him and Crichton. And depending on who's healthy, maybe Jack gets thrown into that conversation. Of course.
I'm glad you brought up Jack because that's a really good shout. Been in the system, was playing.
Played a bit of centre for him.
Yeah, has started in the centre. Has also played off the bench for New South Wales. Has that rapport with Freddie and the boys already.
Well, you could play Jack essentially for New South Wales because he could be, he's a utility essentially. Could play anywhere besides prop. Like he's got enough size to play.
He can play second row. He can play a lot. Yeah, he could be an edge back rower.
And he's played in the back line before, so he gives you a lot of versatility. So I think you'd probably keep him more as a bench player for that reason. But you never know. If we're still another month and a bit away, 6 weeks away.
Yeah, about 6 weeks. I think.
Yeah, so plenty of people get injured in that time frame.
Sure.
So, I think I like all the names you picked in that.
It's a good problem to have. Good problem to have for Freddie and for Blues fans. It's just an absolute plethora of talent, especially in the back line. It'd be interesting to see though who does get the nod.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about Nathan Cleary and the hip drop that wasn't a hip drop?
Well, you've just given your thoughts on it. It didn't look great.
It wasn't a hip drop. For me,
it was like a leg, like a judo jiu-jitsu kind of
It was like it was an inside judo toss. That's 100% what it looks like. And that's
fined, but won't go to the judiciary. I think fair enough too.
Yeah, I would have thought maybe a week or 2. He's
you love over officiating.
No, well, bloody it wasn't Tino. There's a dude that's had a 5-match suspension for a hip drop tackle, so that's what he got. No, it wasn't as bad as that, but also I don't think you'd want inside leg trips where you're like bending the knee that way and trying to toss a dude. Like it just looks bad. So if judo tosses are now illegal, if that's the precedent you want to set, well, fine. But maybe a week just to sit him down and say, like, we don't want that in the league.
This just in, Ronda Rousey on the coaching staff at the Penrith Panthers.
We're doing arm bars, flying arm bars from here on out. But
it was bad because the league was involved, but I think the force as well. It wasn't a high.
I call it I call it an inside leg trip. So to me, this tripping's bad.
Yeah, true.
Anyway. Cleary was never going to get suspended because he's Cleary.
Yeah, there's a bit of that as well. The old Joel Selwood in the AFL for comparison.
Yes. Well, pretty sure there was another game this weekend where someone else did something kind of similar, more of a drop than wrapped his leg around it, caught the guy's ankle, and I think there was a penalty from that.
Yeah.
But that being said, the guy who got tackled, like he was limping off the side of the field sort of thing.
And they're always going to take that into account, and we will discuss that when we talk about the AFL, is the outcome for the other player and whether or not that has to be taken into consideration when they go to the judiciary or when it's just a fine. Let's go through the Saturday games. Manly have won 4 on the trot, winning over the Gold Coast Titans 26-18. Hamuli Olakau'atu double for the Sea Eagles, 121 run metres, 29 tackles, 5 tackle bust. DCE, his kicking game has been really good, especially in the last month where they have won these 4 on the trot. Do we see Manly making the top 4? I think we all had them around about that fifth and sixth at the start of the year.
Those 6 teams you mentioned before, they're one of the 6. So they'll be fighting for a top 4 spot.
But then in that as well, Penrith and Melbourne, hard to see them not finishing 1 and 2. 1-2. You know, maybe third at the worst.
They can play the grand final already.
So then, which you were saying last year, and then Melbourne dished up their worst game in 2 years in the prelim. Yeah. So that's why we have finals here, and it's not a league system like the EPL.
I know.
But good. Well, I was about to say good to see Manly performing well. No one really, outside of Manly supporters, likes to see Manly doing that well. Good to see them playing to their potential, I suppose, out of the fact that on paper they should be a good side. We didn't see it in the first 2 weeks, and now we are seeing it without Turbo as well.
Though, I think the last 3 weeks, though, have been sides that won't finish in the top 8. Because I think it was Titans,
the Bulldogs,
and Raiders.
And there'd be one other one in their 4 on the trot. Interesting.
Knights.
Yeah, so they have to put those two. They've done that, so they're definitely showing they are a top 8 side. It's just where they finish in that top 8.
Well, interesting that they play Cronulla on Thursday night. Battle of the Beaches, 2 sides that are in pretty good form. Manly, who I suppose most people expected to be pretty good. Cronulla, a lot of people had them making the top 8 this year. Did we see them being as good as they have been? Maybe not. You know, they've been really good.
Yeah. They've been overs from what we thought.
Exactly.
So Melbourne was a good kind of testing for them. And to see where they're at.
And that's a great segue into the Storm and Sharks game. The Sharks actually didn't have a drop ball in the first half. They completed all of their sets.
About coaching.
In the first half. Yeah, discipline. Yeah, Craig Fitzgibbon, good on you. High quality game, this. But Melbourne's still too strong.
Yeah, and I think Finucane went off with HI ankle, didn't come back. I'm not sure when that was in that match, but of course that doesn't help losing him because I think he's de facto captain at the moment. I can't remember if... what's the other second row's name in the Sharks?
Wade Graham.
He's
been out. Yeah. So I think Finucane has been the skip for them.
In the end, it didn't kind of matter because it was the Cameron Munster coming out party. Essentially, everyone kind of forgot that Cameron Munster still is the best 5'8" in the comp. So
and pretty well. And no disrespect to Luai and Whiten and others. I think it's Munster and Daylight.
Yeah, exactly. If you're picking the Australian squad, you're putting Munster in 6 and Cleary in 7. Like that's just what you've been doing.
Agreed.
It's funny because back to his contract chat, that's all in the news. So he's just like, all right, I'm going to go out and have the best game of the year so far. And kind of put that, respect to my name in that. So his $700K tag probably got bumped up to $1 million. Like the only reason he's
whatever they're going to be Dolphins. Let's go with Redcliffe for ease at the moment.
Yep.
The North Brisbane Dolphins, the Sunshine Coast Dolphins, whatever they're going to be.
Somewhere on Queensland Beach Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins. They could throw 1.2, 1.3 at him.
Yeah, exactly. But I think if Melbourne want to keep him now, they got to up theirs because they're like, and they lowballed him, which is because the only reason they lowballed him is not because of his ability; it's because it's the nose candy. So
that's an excuse. That's an
excuse for them. But
that's an excuse for them.
It is also like they've kind of set that you're not really the face. Hughes, Grant. And Xavier Coates, like they were the big three, the big spiel. That's the future. So you're second fiddle to them. Essentially, is what's happened. And it's just like, well, this week he's going to go on. Well, I'm still Cameron Munster. I'm still the best 5'8" in the game.
Very good.
Do
you think it's a bit rude from Melbourne to lowball him the way that they did, considering what he's done for them at such a young age? He had to come up through, the Billy Slater, Cameron Smith, Cooper Cronk era, had to bide his time to get offered the money that he deserves. And they use it off-season discretion. Well, by the way, if that's an excuse to lowball everyone in the NRL, you could probably lowball about 85% of the NRL. That's just a number off the top of my head. No scientific backing behind that, of course.
Yeah. Well, I think they did still do him a solid by paying him the 1.2 this year. So I was just like, hey, we're not going to tear your contract up essentially, and you'll maybe take a haircut next year. But Munster's is like, well, I'm still young and I'm still super talented, so why should I have to do that when considering a club like Dolphins potentially may, and that's his leverage. They can go, hey, they're going to offer me 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. I'll stay for $1 million.
I'll stay for $1 million. Yeah, I'll
do the deal.
I'll take 200 haircut to not leave, and I'll stay here and be good with Melbourne for the next 10 years, which no one in the fucking comments will see.
Pretty much. So that's it. There's some interesting chat on Redcliffe on the Dolphins, and we'll talk about that when we get to the Knights, I think. But
yes.
That's probably enough on Melbourne.
Yeah, doubles to Justin Olam, who's been quite good of late. Dally M centre of the year last year.
Where does he fit centre-wise?
He plays with PNG. So
he's a PNG, but that's second nation, so he could play.
Yeah, it's a tier. Well, that's true. That's true. It's a tier 2.
And I think he's a New South Welshman as well.
Really?
Because I'm pretty sure Craig was a little annoyed that he didn't even get a look in last year. I think that's
a good shout. Yeah, because I had always considered him as not being eligible to play for the Blues. Yeah, tier 2 nation, Papua New Guinea.
If you fact checked it there for me, James, you got an answer? I thought you had something because you were laughing at us.
He's full Papuan.
Yeah, he is. Like he's definitely the best PNG player in the comp. But I think if he's come from PNG into Melbourne, he could probably pick where he wants to play. Or he won't have eligibility.
My understanding was that he's not eligible.
Yeah, maybe he is.
Going back to this chat from last year.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get the flow chart.
That's why I was laughing.
Get the flow chart going again.
Oh.
He's never in the discussion basket, if you will, for Origin. So my assumption is that
does it say where he played his junior footy?
PNG.
All PNG?
Yeah.
So
he literally came here by getting signed from PNG.
Because the PNG squad was in the Queensland Cup, so if he came, did he just come straight from PNG into Melbourne, or did he play Queensland? But I still think he still wouldn't be eligible because he's too old at that point.
Monks has got the career progression there, don't you?
Yeah, so 2016 he played in PNG, as you mentioned, so he signed with PNG Hunters in 2016 for the Queensland Cup season.
But he would have been an 18-ish by that point. So he doesn't need that 13 years stupid number.
Yeah, I'm not doing the maths on that. And then 2017, he signed with the Storm, played for the Storm feeder club Sunshine Coast Falcons in the Intrust Super Cup. From the looks of it, he's played club. All his footy he's played in Australia has been either Queensland or for the Storm.
But he's not eligible.
No, he wouldn't.
You got to be before the 13th birthday is the rule. Yeah. He's come here as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old. Yeah. So you can put that cat to bed. Olam not eligible.
Yeah.
Because he's one of the elite centres, specialist centres in the league.
Yeah. Well, send it to you.
He has graduated from Papua New Guinea University of Technology with a bachelor's in applied physics.
You're joking.
No.
There you go. Jesus. Justin Olam, applied physicist.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, the more you know. There you go. Everyone's learnt something here on the Esky. Applied physicist. Maybe get him here as the fourth panelist for some quick maths.
We need it.
Yeah. Might also be a little bit below a applied physicist level. Anyways.
Roosters Warriors?
Roosters Warriors. I didn't get this one. I was at Coogee, actually, Roosters territory, lying on the beach, going for a swim. April, weather turning it on. La Nina, nice. She's fucked off for a week, and the sun has come out, and it was very, very nice over the Easter long weekend. Shout out to Coogee Beach and the thousands of people there, all very well socially distanced. You're on the beach, etc., etc. Roosters slow start in this one. They did get the win in the end. Sammy Walker was quite good. He did have a meat pie. Was good with his goal kicking.
And I think that's the change, because we talked about the chemistry.
Yes,
Walker good. They've finally kind of found their feet, and I've got that side humming. So they've been winning games. Probably let the Knights in a bit close in this one.
Warriors.
Sorry, I've scrolled down. Warriors in this one. But the Warriors have been better with Sean Johnson back in the squad. So.
They have been. So that gives us the Chooks 4-2. It's starting to look like the team I think that everyone kind of expected them to be. Fifth, I think. Fifth.
Cronulla's third.
Fifth, yes, at the moment. They face a red-hot Dragon side next week, so I'm sure they're shivering in their boots to face them. On a more serious note, Warriors get Melbourne next week, so good luck with that one, boys.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Dragons. Yes, the thing that everyone's been waiting for.
They got a win.
Second win since Barbecue Gate. 2 and 13, I believe, since the barbecue at Vorney's. They get the win against the Knights down there at Wynn Stadium in the Gong. Interesting match, this one. Probably the big talking point was a little bit of a scuffle between ex-teammates Zach Lomax and Tyson Frizzell. Frizzell were outstanding in a losing side in this one. So the Dragons scored a try here. Tyson had tried to clean up a little kick in the in-goal, kind of made a mess of it. And the try was scored, and then Zach Lomax jumped on his back as if celebrating.
Said a few words with it, I believe.
That's right, as if celebrating with his ex-teammate. And then Frizzell just brings out like the old suplexed him, like absolutely ragdolled him, and a little scuffle. A little scuffle ensued, but not too much to write home about. No penalties, no sin binnings, nothing.
There's some pictures of Clemmer who looked like he wasn't very happy with.
Clemmer came up after full time and had a few words for him.
Yeah. To Zach?
To Zach, yeah. They had to sort of separate them.
Yeah, and it's a shame because he's so talented, but we are starting to see it a little bit. He's starting to become a player that guys love to hate. Is he being, just playing with passion, or is it just a little bit too much kind of banter and leading towards being idiocy? I think there's some words there from the Fox crew.
So Fox crew, well, I think even, they would have been the same crew as when I was watching it. They were sort of saying like, Frizzell's in his right to do what he did. He didn't know who was jumping on top of him. Lomax could have done his knee, could have done anything to Frizzell if he hadn't been standing right. So they were sort of defending Frizzell, kind of giving Lomax a bit of stick.
Yep, stupidity, rubbish, the words used there by Greg Alexander and Vossi.
Yeah.
The old boys are always going to say that.
They do like saying that. Yeah, back in our day, you could punch someone in the face, but if you jumped on their back to celebrate a try, that's idiocy.
Can't do that.
That's it. But I think that's just Lomax's nature. Like, you saw everything he'd...
he's a proper larrikin.
You saw him making fun of Dufty the other week.
What do you expect?
That's it.
He might have a career lined up for after footy, I think, because he seems to be a bit of a loose unit, a bit of a funny bloke. Hails from the town of Temora. That's where the wife family is from. Shout out Temora, New South Wales. Punches above its weight in producing NRL footballers.
It does.
I will agree. It's probably a little bit dumb. If you want to do it to someone, maybe jump on, say, Jake Clifford or Adam Clune's back. Tyson Frizzell, some of the biggest quads in the NRL. You are going to get ragdolled taking on Big Tice.
Maybe just thought he could take it.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, heat of the battle, I think we're probably over-analysing what's going on.
Yeah, after the match, he just said it was a bit of friendly banter, between old teammates. He didn't really think it through, I guess, didn't really realise it was going to be that big of a deal. But he also said he wouldn't have wanted to get on Frizzell's bad side if he had known. So
you would not. Frizz himself actually had a really good game. He plays all 80 minutes. He's an absolute unit. I love him. He's on my fantasy team, and he may get me a win this week, pending the Parramatta West Tigers game. I'll tell you who was good for Newcastle, Kalen Ponga. How about this for a game line? 102 fantasy points, if you don't mind. 240 metres gained. 7 offloads. 7. A fullback's not meant to offload the ball 7 times. 10 tackle busts, a meat pie, a try saver, a try assist. His best game far and away from the year, and admittedly probably a little bit quiet this year. Given all the hoopla that's going around.
So much, So what I want to know, James, is when did the news come out that the contract offer from Newcastle was rescinded? Did it come out this morning?
Officially half-time. Officially half-time, which means that obviously he knew beforehand.
Yeah. Which was my thinking, though. He knew going in that, and he's just going, well, this is why I'm Kalen Ponga. He's done the same thing Munster did.
Similar to Munster.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, this is what you're getting if you're going to pay for me. So, had his best game. Again, of course, against the bottom of the league team in the Dragons.
They won this game. Weird.
Yeah. Where are they on the ladder?
Above Newcastle. Oh, no, they're not actually. They are equal with Newcastle, the old for and against. They're equal with the Gold Coast Titans, Newcastle, Canberra, St George, Brisbane Broncos, all the pretender teams, essentially, that should avoid the spoon. Thank God for the West Tigers, etc., etc.
My point being, it would have probably been harder to do this against Manly, Manly, Penrith, or Melbourne. So he came in, showed out, of course. So what was it? It was a 3-year extension on his current 2-year deal, which was options in his favour.
Yes,
which would be a 5-year deal.
Interesting way to write deals, and it seems to be happening more and more that the back end of the deal seems to be in the players' favour. Reece Walsh is looking at a similar situation with the Warriors.
So I wonder if part of the Knights weren't happy with, because even if they do this 3-year extension, I would assume they'd try to rewrite the first 2 years, like, hey, you're going to be here for 2 years, not give you a 3-year extension, and then you can still leave us in a year's time, because that kind of seems iffy to me with the way the contract works. But either way, it sounds like they're going to not give him anything, so he could stay there for the 2 years, or Ponga could potentially go to the Dolphins. So that chat's back on, whether he plays 1 or 6.
At minimum, next year we will see Munster or Kalen Ponga sign.
If you're the Dolphins, you need to get at least one. If you can get both, happy days. You get one.
I think they can legitimately get both, considering the situations that both those players are in, and getting lowballed by their respective clubs. I don't think it's impossible that we see a world where both Kalen Ponga and Cam Munster end up at the Dolphins, and at a minimum one.
Yeah, well, if
they can't get both, maybe Reece Walsh ends up there with one of them to play.
Well, the other position. Either one, whoever takes the first step, you would think, hey, if Munster signs there, if you're Kalen Ponga, you go, fuck yeah, I'm going to go join the Dolphins and play with Munster. That's better than the half pairing I currently got. And if Munster's there and he sees Ponga's going there, he's like, well, hey, I've got something to work with. I know he's talented, and maybe I will sign that deal. So I think for the Dolphins, you really got to get at least one. Potentially, we think they could get 2. If they miss out on both, I'd be quite worried about their fortunes for the first year in the league next year. But by all accounts, it sounds like the Knights might be looking to add Milford, which kind of potentially may mean that Ponga's on the way out. It's kind of a shitty trade. It's
not like for like, is it? In an aging Anthony Milford
still pretty young.
Well, yeah, comparatively,
got a lot of miles in the legs though. We have to say
aging in comparison to KP, who you'd imagine is only going to get better and better. Yeah, it seemed I kind of interpreted that as maybe a little bit of damage control, as in, maybe we're not going to have KP. So we need to start looking at a Ponga-less Newcastle future, if you will. But yeah, interesting. A lot of the chat around the NRL this year will be, who do the Dolphins sign, and other clubs also will be vying for these guys, and where do these big superstars of our game end up?
That's it.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
during halftime, as it was breaking, I suppose, Joey Johns was like, he's not moving. Like,
Yeah, he was pretty adamant, wasn't he?
adamant.
And
He has been for weeks, though, that he's not going anywhere.
And Joey has got a lot to do with the Newcastle Knights in assistant coaching.
He works with Ponga.
and works with him. Yeah. So is that his bias, or is that him just saying?
I'd say a little bit, definitely.
a little bit, but maybe also, it's unlike the media to beat up things that never come to fruition.
Well, we do know they did rescind the deal. Like, that's fact. That
Yes,
happens.
that is fact.
So,
But maybe there is over speculation as to what the current situation is. Anyways, time will tell.
Yes. Just before we move on, what do you think about that no call on the offside right at the end?
No, fine. Dragons win. Happy with it.
Bunker missing things? Oh, my God. I never would have guessed.
The Knights have. Knights fans got a reason to be upset yesterday afternoon and today. Obvious offside, obviously, came off Lomax's hand, went forward, was an accidental offside, should have been penalty Newcastle. At that stage as well, Dragons led by 1 point. So could have tried a long penalty goal to get the win, by 1 point with the penalty kick, or could have gone forward and tried to have a set at our line. Yeah, big miss, and it's a weekly occurrence in the NRL where there's a big call or no call, which adversely affects the outcome of the game. So Knights fans maybe a little bit robbed, but also spare a thought for us Dragons fans.
Gotta take them as they come.
And whose season got absolutely obliterated by a barbecue last year. Come on, guys! Like, it's not like it's not like this win went to Melbourne or Penrith. Come on, this is two losers just fighting it out after school with no one cares and no one else is watching the fight. It's just two losers. It could be a fight between you and me, monkey cat. No offense. No offense, but no one cares. No one cares. No one cares. Let's move on with it. Dragons are 2-4, Knights are 2-4. Neither of these teams win the premiership this year. Let's move forward.
I think the story's more important as an NRL fan. Is like, if you're an NRL fan, you should be expecting this every week, because
it was bad. Like, it was so obviously an accidental
We've
offside.
seen the 7 tackle sets as well, and there's
there was
knock-ons getting missed.
There was another one in the game, where the 6 again siren went off. So the Dragons thought that they had a 6 again. They thought it was second tackle, and the refs yelling at him, last tackle. And then apparently he didn't call for a 6 again, and the siren went off. So how that works, I'm not really sure. Shit show, but Dragons get the win. Who cares?
We haven't started calling them, but it's slowly working its way back into another year of bumhole league.
We can't throw the BH word around, frivolously.
Last year was a bad year for NRL. It started off kind of okay, and it's kind of
it's such a shame, because the quality of the league in terms of there's been less blowouts this year.
The last couple of weeks,
a few, but look at this week. The scores. Well, the biggest margin was Penrith Brisbane, and I didn't think Brisbane were that bad in that game.
We didn't talk about the double slap, but Brisbane really struggled after they got the sin binning there.
My wife's name out your fucking mouth.
The Will Smiths,
Will Smith, Chris Rock.
So they really struggled with 12-man versus Penrith, who just didn't care, and they tore them up. They're like, oh, extra space, thank you.
It is concerning though when these obvious calls are getting missed. Again,
they're talking about
maybe why I shouted Gil McLaughlin to be at the start of the league, at the start of the episode. That league seems to run with less hiccups than the NRL.
Yes. Well, they're
already a fan of both.
They're already talking about the 2-ref system again, after everyone kind of forgot that, we got rid of that in COVID because we couldn't afford sending all the referees everywhere.
Couldn't afford 2 idiots making mistakes.
Pretty much. And it's like, this is better.
Just makes it look even worse.
Yeah. Or, wrestle's back in the game. We're going to have to crack down on the wrestle. And
how? It's just good teams being smart. The wrestle's back because it's effective.
Exactly. It's just the same cycle of stupidity. Anyways. That's the
It is what it is. There is a game that will start during this episode.
Yeah, who
the
cares?
Parramatta Eels.
They're going to dip the Tigers. 50 points.
Yeah, hard to see the Tigers winning this one. They did change up their team a fair bit.
Did you see that? I think there's like 12 changes or something like that.
I don't think it's 12. I did have a look. I think it's like 5 or 6.
Well, they've got a lot of guys coming in, but they've also switched guys in positions.
Yeah, so Jackson Hastings comes back. He plays 7. Luke Brooks to 6. Jock Madden to the bench. You don't like that?
Well, you've got this generational talent for the last 10 years, paying him as over $1 million to be a halfback, and it's like, yeah, no, you're going to go play 6 now.
It's not like you're going to drop.
I know, but it's still stupid.
It's not like the Bulldogs that buy, Kyle Flanagan and then don't play him and then bring him back.
Yeah.
And
it's more to me. It sounds more like the Dragons. It's like, let's just reshuffle the whole spine and hope for the best.
Bit of reshuffling. 2 and 4 Dragons. Thank you very much. Not the 0 and 5 West Tigers. Look down on that pathetic merger club from one slightly less pathetic merger club.
Yeah. That game's going to happen. The Eels should win by 50. James Maloney is currently over playing French rugby league.
Mm-hmm.
He's been
they won the comp last year, didn't they?
Yes. Been stood down for his nose candy. So
again, is this news? NRL caught with nose candy. Is it news?
No.
I suppose the repercussion's pretty big. I wonder as well
over there.
Over there, do they have less tolerance? I suppose.
It's not like Southeast Asia. Let's say that much. So.
The news story isn't James Maloney shot by firing squad.
It's can't listed down
for drug indiscretion in Singapore. No, it is not like the Singapore Rugby League. Stood down at his age. He would have to be 35.
He's up there. Yeah.
Can someone chase that up? 35. Yeah, not bad.
He'd get a run for the Dragons.
I wouldn't say no. wouldn't say no. Do like Talatau Amon. Saw a little bit of him yesterday.
Did Ferguson has he got a club yet?
No, Blake Ferguson doesn't have a club. He's playing bush footy.
Bush footy. That's what.
He got signed by a bush footy team, much to the dismay of the other teams in that league. There, imagine he'd be going pretty good. I reckon.
Yes, I'd agree.
Yeah, out there.
He can definitely come home and play footy, is what we're saying.
Indeed.
Final story: NRL season opener potentially in the USA. They're talking about SoFi Stadium. I think that'll be excellent. They'll get about 1,000 people there to that game. So,
is it? I don't think it's SoFi.
That's been the chat. I don't think they'll be able to get it.
I think it's the other Chargers Stadium that seats 35,000. The one that they were using before.
The one that isn't their home game?
Correct. So the one that they were using before SoFi got built.
Yeah, and they got more away fans
because it was, again, mainstream media. Like, you may as well listen to 3 idiots that don't have any fucking idea what they're talking about, then watch the mainstream media because they...
LA NFL team.
Well, they were showing pictures of SoFi Stadium. I was like, geez, that's a big get. 100,000 people in a brand new stadium with, the biggest TV in the world.
Well, they could probably get it in March. There's no one there, so...
Well, yeah, getting it, but... Like for one, it's not grass. For 2, it's way too big for the actual game. I think they've got the other.
I agree.
One of the other.
They don't need an 80,000 seat stadium for 4,000 rugby league fans.
The other thing as well is that they had pretty much had this lined up before COVID, threw a spanner in the works. So interesting to see. I also wonder how many people there will be Americans and how many Aussies will say, "Fuck yeah, let's go over for
it'll be expats," and then
or a quick trip over to LA, Vegas, watch the season opener and come home.
Yeah, I agree. And then all the
great idea for a Bucks party. At anyone getting married soon.
I'd say the Yank fans will probably show up and go, "Oh, this is not rugby."
Well,
not you.
We've seen.
They have no idea the difference.
No idea, especially when we're talking about league or rugby players that make it in the NFL. Jordan Mailata here playing rugby.
All the couple of UFC fighters that have
they all play rugby. Volk, do you know he has a rugby background? But the thing is, they've had some great crowds to watch the All Blacks when they've gone over there. They sold out.
They do have a rugby college system, though.
Yeah. So the game of rugby union is slightly known to our friends across the ditch. Yes, much bigger than a rugby league. Marks, what did you find on this? Can you confirm it's not SoFi Stadium?
Not SoFi. They might have just been using those like some of the promotional.
They literally were showing pictures of it on the news.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, mainstream media. Look at us.
So, again, mainstream media have reported that the likely venue to host that open for next season would be Bank of California Stadium, home of the Major League Soccer team, Los Angeles FC.
Which is where the Chargers are playing.
Where the Chargers were playing.
Why they were building so far.
Which is like a 35 to 40,000 seat stadium.
22 seat stadium.
22? Is that it? 22?
Yeah. Slightly small.
The Chargers couldn't fill it. It was so
half of it was Philip Rivers' kids.
Dude, also true.
It has hosted rugby sevens tournaments in the past, so and I mean, being a soccer pitch should be pretty close to stock standard for an NRL field.
Is that also, is it spelt like that BANC, or is that a typo?
Yeah. No, I think it's that. Bunk. I think they had a shot with a helicopter flying past, and it was
BANC.
There
you go. Yeah. Spelling, quick maths, none of it is required in this crazy world that we live in.